Right. Well, I know that we have billed this town hall or uh, prepared many of our families to, and we wanted to address the question about the acquisition of the new early learning campus. And so I'm going to jump right in, give you a little bit of historical context to this, and tie it in with our strategic plan as a school. And hopefully we'll answer many of your questions that you posed on the survey that we sent out as a part of the registration. So first of all, I want to give you a little bit of timeline. And actually the decision to acquire this facility can be traced all the way back to 2017 when we engaged in strategic planning, our most recent strategic plan that we adopted in almost 5 years ago. And one of the things that we addressed during that strategic planning process was, what do we think the future enrollment for Legacy might be? And so we engaged an architect to help us develop a campus master plan and determine what is the current capacity on this campus. What could we expect, how many families could we expect to serve, or how many students could we educate without building any new classroom buildings or bringing in portable classrooms, or just taking the current facilities, and if we were to grow into the capacities there. And what we determined is that this campus had a capacity of 1,200 students. Well, today we sit at 1,115. Our projections for next year, if we did, based on our numbers of inquiries and applications already, which is already ahead of last year's, this point last year, is that we will reach that capacity, and in fact exceed that capacity if we were to admit all qualified families. And keep in mind, not everybody who applies to our school gets in. We have a very rigorous application process. Some of you who have completed that process in recent years know that you must be interviewed by our principals, that you must share your testimony, that we want to see a dedication to the spiritual growth in your own family. So we ask some very complicated and intensive questions on our application. So, but even with that, we have many, many committed Christian families that are seeking a legacy education. Many of them are coming to us from out of state. As you know, North Texas is growing exponentially right now. And so, many of our new families this year came as far away as California, New York, Minnesota, and really a number of out of state locations. So we're seeing just really an explosion of interest from the Christian families that are either already here in this community or have moved to this community in the last year or two. So given our projection of where we're going with our enrollment, we began discussing actually as early as this summer, if we were, what are we going to do when we have so many qualified Christian families who are seeking this education and we're not able to serve them? So we began to look at possibilities of partnering with local churches in the area, and seeing if there was a way we might partner with them, or that we might even acquire property for a future building. Well, fast forward to November, and an email that came across my desk that normally I wouldn't pay any attention to, but for some reason I was moved to open it. And it came from a commercial real estate broker who was selling a preschool, which was literally around the corner. And of course we knew, I knew, and I had seen this facility in the past at the entrance of the Starwood subdivision. And so I clicked on the email and read about this facility, and then shared this with the Board of Trustees at our early December meeting, and just suggested that this is a possible strategy for us to facilitate growth in our younger grades, and then allow for growth in the older grades, but still keep within our 1,200 capacity on this campus. Well, the board began to consider that. Our finance committee quickly kicked into gear to determine the financial feasibility of this. And our pro forma showed that with the expected growth that we could easily cover the cost of acquiring this facility. So now it became financially feasible. And we visited the property. I had virtually the entire board on the property at one time, Members of my executive leadership team took a look at it. We actually asked a couple of our preschool teachers to come over and take a peek as well. And the excitement was just over the top about the possibility of what this facility could do for our early ed program and what it would mean overall for our desire to make a greater kingdom impact in our community. So with that, we checked with our financial institution to see from a financing standpoint if this made sense. They gave it their blessing, and we offered a contract actually during the Christmas holidays, and the inspection period started. Now, we did have to negotiate with the owner, who did not want anyone, or at least her community, to know that this facility was under contract. And so they objected to us informing our own parents. And that was unacceptable. And so through some pretty heated negotiation, they finally released us to announce that to our families. I realized it was only a few days before the re-enrollment deadline, but I will say this to anyone who is still trying to make their decision about whether their child will, whether this works for their family. We will relieve your contract and refund any deposits you have put down on your contract. If this just does not work for you as a family, and if this is not convenient for you, we are glad to release you from your contract without penalty, and we will refund any funds. So you just simply have to notify us via email, notify our student accounts office, and we will release you. Now, we do have a time limit on that because we have, again, we still have waiting lists of families to get in. And so we would ask that you make that decision before the end of spring break. So if this just does not work for you, then we would ask that you let us know so that we can offer that spot to another family. So let me share with you a graphic that I think will make some sense to you about where we have been and where we're going regarding our growth strategy. So if you look at the graphic on the what I call the upside down or inverted pyramid there, we looked at our enrollment from 3 years ago, 2018, 2019. We had just under 360 students in our upper school, a few less in our middle school, quite a few less in our lower school, and our early learning center or our early learning grades, which is pre-K 3 through kindergarten, was barely hanging on. We were wondering whether or not this division was sustainable over the long run. So, but what you notice is we're larger at the top in our upper grades than we were in our lower grades. And so this was concerning to us. It's not the sign of a healthy enrollment. What you want to do is have more balance in your divisions for a lot of reasons. One being that your school is just stronger and healthier when you don't depend on a lot of new students coming in at various divisions. Our desire is that we would enroll families for the long run, that they would enjoy the legacy experience for 12 plus years, and that we just felt like that from a cultural standpoint, it just lends itself to a healthy culture. So if you look at our enrollment today, you see we have about 1,115 students. Upper school has grown slightly. Middle school has actually lost a few, but we had a couple of large grades that have moved on through the upper school. But what I'm pleased to see is that our lower school is beginning to grow. But what is really significant is that early ed program now has 161 students enrolled. And so we're very pleased by that trend. So here's where we project we're going. So our maximum capacity for the North Campus, where we have grades 9 through 12, is 400 students. We can fit 100 students per grade in our upper school building. Our middle school can fit 380 students, which is an average of about 19 students per classroom, 5 sections per grade. And then our lower school has the ability to grow to 90 students per grade, or 5 sections of 18 students in each classroom. And with the acquisition of the new campus, the early learning campus, we can actually fit 250 students into that facility, given our current class size limits. So you see a much healthier, more uniform, more balanced enrollment across all of our divisions. So with that, that's our projection and our growth plan. Now, I will mention this: we will be engaged in, or we are engaged in long-range planning, and one of the topics that we're going to address is, should we plant our flag in other parts of the community? And so the idea that we might actually establish satellite campuses in strategic areas of this community is on the table. And so that will be a process we'll go through to determine, what is, and to discern what is God's will in that area. So, but at least this gives you an idea of what our enrollment could be, and very well, I believe will be in the near future of the school. So I want to talk a little bit about the kingdom impact of this decision. As I mentioned earlier, this decision to acquire the new facility allows for growth, and allows us to have a greater mission impact. It also actually benefits the current campus. It reduces crowding. So we experienced some challenges with use of facilities, some challenges in our car lines, given our current enrollment today. This will actually take a little bit of pressure off the current campus. And so there's some upsides to this. It obviously will also actually lower the class sizes. So we'll have classes of 18, for example, in our lower school, 5 sections of 18 versus 4 sections of 20 or 22. So everybody benefits from this. And the other thing that I want to make a point is just good stewardship. If we were going to try to grow this campus and add on to our current building and build more classrooms, the cost of those classrooms right now at current construction costs would be about $350 a square foot. To build a 26,000 square foot facility that, which is what the size of the building that we are acquiring, would cost well over $9 million. So we're getting this facility at about a 40% discount. And it is in a few minutes, we're going to share some of the unique features and amenities of this facility. I believe Tiffany McCullum is going to share that, but it just makes sense. And I'll tell you, we really believe it's a gift from God. We believe that He is expanding our kingdom impact in this community, and I praise Him for that. And praise Him that He has guided us all along this decision-making process. So anyway, let me at this point give you turn this part over to our associate head of school, Kevin Mosley, who's going to comment on the logistics of this and how we're going to make this transition. So Kevin, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. I'm so excited about what God has provided here in this opportunity. And as we know, its legacy has been here for 22 years or so, and I've been here 10. I came right after we opened the North Campus. And there were some concerns at that point in time, about community and some other things. And so it is a change, and we recognize that. But we also would not go back from the tremendous impact that the Lord has allowed us to have in additional families at having a North Campus. So I'm excited about that possibility. But of course, there are some things that we need to work through. So let me walk through some things that our team has already begun to discuss. We don't have all the answers, but we want to share with you some things that we have determined and are going to be moving forward with. The first thing is there needs to be a transition year because of our tremendous demand right now in kindergarten. And just to give us some time to transition a little better. So for 1 year, we're going to hold kindergarten on this campus. And then the following year, they will transition over. So that helps a little bit for some of you maybe in K4, you were, hey, I have older siblings who are already kind of in this mode. And so that may help a little bit. And also another thing that we've determined in this first year transition is we had some parents that have reached out with Miss McCullum already. And they've said, look, we want to make this campus be just the tremendous thing that Legacy is, the Legacy brand and all that. How can we help? And so there's a committee of parents that are forming. And if you're interested in helping with that, if you'll reach out to Miss McCullum, I'm sure she'd be glad to get you involved. We need everyone. We're a community together, and we'll come together, even if we're not exactly in agreement. I don't know if this is the best thing, but hey, we're going to come in together and make this work for all of us. And so I really appreciate the parents who have stepped forward and excitement that's there. And I think once you get there and see the facility, you're going to be very excited as well. So what about some of the logistics and the operational things? And so one of the things that people have asked us, how is this going to work with car lines or with drop-offs or LEC and all those other things? So let me just tell you, we anticipate as a result of moving some kids out, that the morning car lines will actually get a pressure release here quite a bit and will be quite a bit faster even than it is now. And look, it's a fine science, and you guys know that we have to make a tweak here every year, a little bit in the first 2 weeks, and people have to be patient. You settle in, but we recognize that moving some of the traffic off campus and continuing to have staggered times, continuing to have the ability for you to drop your child off early on both campuses if you need to go to work early, and those kind of things, those things are still going to be in place on both campuses. We still will stagger the times, and we will adjust those times so that the transition around the corner, it's about a 5-minute transition when you drop off to get to the other campus, that those transitions are taken into account when we set those times for both arrival and for dismissal. Another thing I want to talk about is LEC. Are you still going to have, after school care? And the answer to that is yes. We're going to have that available. And so we began to think, how do we structure that? What's the best facility? How do we make that work? And so some things we began to notice, and yet after talking with Ms. Candy, our LEC director, some of the challenges we have here in terms of after school care is that we still have campus activities happening. We still have people coming in the gym for junior high volleyball and basketball games. And so we just felt, hey, it's a little bit more secure if we move our LEC over to this new campus. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that we'll take those kids, we're going to purchase a bus, and we will move them over, and it's a dedicated facility. It's safer because we don't have other people even that, coming from other schools for games and things like that. They will all be right there. They have dedicated covered playgrounds. There's a gym there for them. All the other programs that we have will be available there. So that's how we're going to manage the LEC situation. And for those staff kids, there'll be a solution here on this campus for them, a class where they can be handled as well. So we're going to purchase a bus, and that will help also with moving kids in for activities that are still happening on this campus, and we want to move them and help them continue to be a part of homecoming, continue to be a part of our Laps for Love and our Grandparents' Day, all the things you say, Mr. Mosley, I'm worried about this community and how we're going to stay connected. I've had some questions about our upper school interns that come and work in our LEC. They're still going to go. They're going to go there and work. It's part of our PSP program. We're excited. They're still going to be involved. So we're going to have opportunities for interaction with older kids. Is it going to be a little different? Yes, but it's still going to be legacy, and it's going to be an amazing time for all of them. So what's next? What happens now that we're going to start moving in this direction? Well, obviously, we're going to take ownership of the building. If everything closes and goes through, we'll take ownership in late March, and we'll begin immediately. We've already had contractors out there to do the things that we need to do. We're going to add security film on the doors. We're upgrading the technology and cameras and things like that. They're there. That's a really good facility, but we're still going to put all that paint. We're going to make it the Legacy brand. It's going to be an amazing facility. We're looking to have an open house sometime in late April so that all the families can come in and see the facility. It still will be in a transition process. We're hoping to have a classroom kind of set up in our way, and how we do that. We're working to make that happen. So you get at least a good feel of what that facility is going to be like. We're also going to offer another additional early learning town hall just for our K-3 through junior kindergarten families in the spring to even ask and answer more specific questions. So we're excited. I know not all of the logistics are figured out yet, but we have started that process, and we're sharing it with you as we go. And of course, we're always open to meet with you or to answer any questions. So you can reach out to Tiffany, who's going to be the director there. We're so excited about Tiffany being the director and keeping that transition. She loves those little babies. You just hear her talk about all the time, my little babies. She loves those babies and loves working with you mamas and dads. And we're so excited about what this means for Legacy. So I'm going to hand it over to her to talk a little bit about programming and some of the amazing things that are going to be available to your children.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mosley. And yes, I do call those my babies down that hallway. In fact, we refer to that hallway as Heaven's Hallway. There are just so many precious things that are happening in those classrooms. And so I'm just very excited to make the move. It's actually bittersweet for me. I love the relationships I've built with teachers and students and parents here in lower school, but I'm also looking forward to the opportunity to move over and to start up this new facility. So, but before I talk more about the early learning campus, I want to say a huge thank you to all of our families for a wonderful teacher appreciation week. You all have loved on us so well, and I know I'm probably speaking on behalf of all of our faculty and staff here. They have just had an extra pep in their step this week, and I'm just so grateful for the love that you've shown us. Parents, they have such a hard job, as you know. They love what they do, but as you know, the culture wars that are happening around us, that they just fight for their little souls every day. So anyway, it's just so great that we take this week to honor and appreciate them. But anyway, moving over to discussion on the Early Learning Academy, I just want to say, parents, that this is such a part of God's plan to LCA to serve just the littlest members of our Frisco community and the surrounding area. And, just this is my 14th year here, and his timing is just, oh, so perfect. I just see the Lord moving in so many, the hearts of so many parents in our area, just leading them to legacy and just seeking a Christian education for their children. And I just see this, as Mr. Mosley said, I call them babies. I have more babies to love on, and to teach them in an early age about Jesus. And for those of you who know me well, when I was a young mama myself, my mom always told me, she said, Tiffany, she said, if you don't get them while they're young, the world will. And as you know, parents, the world is just changing day by day, and the battles that we have to fight in raising children in our world today. So anyway, that's just speaking from my little principal heart and how I see this as a big picture thing for us. And I know there's logistical things that we're working through. And, like it was shared earlier, I have had a few parents reach out wanting to help. And I want that. I really want that. So if you're interested in helping and being a part of this transition, please send me an email, and I would love to connect with you and get your ideas. This is a covenant partnership that we have with you all. And I just want to make this as smooth and seamless transition as we possibly can for you all. But anyway, moving on to this facility. This facility is just so developmentally appropriate for these little eagles that we have with us. And when I stepped foot on that campus, at first I have to admit, I thought, well, we're all here cozy in our little nest here at LCA. And, I wasn't sure about it, but the moment that I stepped foot in that school, I felt the Lord's peace come over me. And he just spoke to me and said, Tiffany, this is my timing. This is what I want for LCA. And he said, I just felt his presence when I walked in that building and just pictured our babies walking in the halls and filling the classrooms and on the playground. And so the amenities that the school has, the playground is so perfect. The playground equipment is age appropriate. It's covered. The classrooms are 50% larger than what we currently have. And I just walked in those rooms and pictured us being able to spread out and have larger home living centers and block centers. And one of the teachers that I took over there, she just got so excited. And she said, Tiffany, there's going to be so many more opportunities and things that I can do in this classroom that I want to do as a teacher. And I haven't been able to do it due to the size of our rooms that we have now. So just really looking forward to the teachers being in those rooms and really being able to serve our students with developmentally appropriate activities and lessons that they can do. We're going to have a full-time nurse there on our campus. There's a clinic there. We're going to have a full-time security guard and installing new cameras in the school. The academic program, as you see on the screen, I just mentioned about the expansion of learning centers, music and movement. So we're going to be hiring 3 full-time specials teachers, and one will be a music and movement teacher. When they're little and they're in pre-K, those kind of go hand in hand oftentimes, having a music and movement. There's a gymnasium that is just the perfect size to take children in there and to move around and work on those large motor skills. And one thing that we experience here on our current campus is we have to schedule around so many other grades. We have to schedule around 1st through 8th grade in the gym. And so rainy days we'll have more opportunities to go in there for an indoor recess time and pull out some balls and jump ropes and things. And so anyway, I'm really looking forward to having that gym just for our babies to use. We're also going to be hiring a person who will serve in a dual role as being librarian and overseeing our STEM lab. The library that we have there is just the cutest little space, and it has a wall full of windows that overlook the playground. And anyway, I met with a mom yesterday who was already helping brainstorm about ways to set that little space up with some stuffed animals and some beanbag chairs and making that a cozy little area for them when they go in there for story time and puppet shows. We also have an area right outside of the library that we're going to turn into a STEM lab, where we're going to really enhance our technology program over there with robotics and things like that. So we're looking forward to getting that set up for our children to use. The third person that we're going to hire will be a full-time science teacher. We have a room that we're going to be turning into a science lab. And also outside of the building next to the playground is the most precious greenhouse that is, it's small and just it's their size. And I could just picture them in there growing some flowers and plants. And we have flower beds that they can grow veggies out there and plant flowers and just, all the amazing things that we can intertwine with teaching from a biblical worldview perspective and, how we can teach our children about God's world. So anyway, parents, I'm just so looking forward to this. Those of you know me, I'm a hugger. I love loving on your babies and just so ready to open up this beautiful new school with them. And I promise you, we are going to keep things the legacy way. And we're going to, bring them over here for field days and homecoming weeks. We're still going to have Arctic Blast. And so just looking forward to, keeping things, a part of the larger community. We're also going to be continuing our early ed internship program and having our high school students come over there. So anyway, we're going to be very intentional about keeping this program all a part of the bigger picture, the bigger schools. So anyway, looking forward to it. And please don't hesitate reaching out to me with any questions if you want to come in and meet with me or if you're interested in volunteering and helping with this transition, I would certainly appreciate and enjoy meeting with you. And parents, more than anything, we just covet your prayers at this time. And just know, just deep down in my heart, after being here for 14 years, this is such a right move for our school. And just seeing the growth that has taken place, and more than anything, just ministering to these little ones in North Texas and their families.